There's two big Marvel releases out this week, but I don't know which one I want to talk about. ¿Por
qué no los dos?
I'm sure there was an easier way to do an intro for today's episode, but I just really like that commercial. Can we play it again?
¿Por qué no los dos?
Hello everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgy, your guide to all things geeky, and welcome to another episode of Comic Class, the show every single week on this channel where we just geek out about comic books. And you know, I haven't really talked much about the books coming out of Marvel Legacy, simply because there haven't really been any new titles coming out of Marvel Legacy, at least none that a whole lot of people have been excited for. Most of the books in Marvel Legacy are the books that were around before Marvel Legacy, so, you know, not exactly a lot of material for this show. But today, two brand new series came out that have got people excited. These are the two that Marvel has been promoting probably more than any of the other titles coming out of Marvel Legacy, and for good reason. They're the two titles that actually sound the most unique and actually have some of the most interesting people working on some of the most interesting characters. So today I'm going to talk about Marvel 2-in-1 #1 and Tales of Suspense #100. I can fix that all in editing, right? Yes, we're going to start with Marvel 2-in-1, partly because I'm really hoping that by the time I get to that other book, I'll be able to pronounce it without slurring all the letters together, but also because this book is all about the return of the Fantastic Four, or at least half that team. Yeah, here's the thing. So many people have been asking for the Fantastic Four to come back, saying that Marvel hasn't felt the same since the Fantastic Four left. And I, as always, am the a-hole in this situation because I'm that one guy who's like, yeah, I'm actually okay with the Fantastic Four being gone. Yeah, here's the thing. I like the Fantastic Four. Nothing against the Fantastic Four. They're Marvel's first family. They're the ones who kicked off the Silver Age over at Marvel. They're kind of a big deal. However, I don't want to go into the comic book store in 30 years and see the exact same books on the wall that I see on the wall today, which were the exact same books on the wall 30 years before that. I want to see these books eventually change and grow and become something different. And what you have to do in order for that to happen is some of these books actually have to end. I am actually fully in favor of Marvel and DC actually ending some of their books, giving some of their characters a send-off, letting them walk off into the sunset, having an end to their storyline. But here's the problem with that. 9 times out of 8, whenever these companies decide to do that, it's not very good. Yeah, it is rare that a character actually gets a really good send-off. I mean, hey, you want to tell me that Tony Stark is going away, he's going to quit being Iron Man, and someone's going to replace him? That's awesome. You're going to tell me it's because he went into a coma because Captain Marvel decided to try and murder him inside a suit while he was trying to murder her first because they were fighting over some kid who could see the future who we never even met before, and they were trying to start some weird dictatorship using this power? Oh my god, what are you doing? Jesus, that's not even close to how you should approach the end of Iron Man. So yes, most of the times in which Marvel tries to send off a character, it is not done well. But the Fantastic Four, oh my god, that was an amazing send-off to that team. You're not going to do a better one. I guarantee you, if you bring the Fantastic Four back, then 30 years from now, if you decide, you know what, it's time to send them off for good now, what you come up with will not be better than what we got. It was the perfect way to send that team off. So listen, I know people miss them, but this is it. This is our one chance to actually take a team and say, yeah, we did the right thing. We actually did a good job sending them off. So yes, I'm that one guy out there who's like, yeah man, the Fantastic Four can stay gone. Good for them. They're out there creating the multiverse, exploring it on one big family road trip. Way to go. However, this book is not about the Fantastic Four returning. This is about the 2 members of the Fantastic Four who did not go off into the sunset. Ben Grimm the Thing and Johnny Storm the Human Torch. They've been left here on Earth. They are wondering, okay, well, what happened to them? And here's the first thing that I found really interesting about this book. it actually brings up what people think happened to the Fantastic Four. Because I don't know if it's actually been said in another series out there, but I could have sworn we all knew that they were in space. I could have sworn at some point in time someone mentioned, yeah, they're just out there, beyond, we don't know where they are, but they're doing good work out there. Hey, that's awesome. In this, they come right out and say, yeah, everyone thinks they're dead. Everyone thinks that Reed and Sue and the kids, they think they're all gone. And honestly, like I said, I thought that we had said that people knew they were in space, but I couldn't go back and peg that anywhere. I couldn't go back and go, okay, well, that's the spot where it happened. And honestly, nobody has done anything with that storyline. Nobody has really done anything with the knowledge of, oh, they're outside the multiverse somewhere. So even if it has been said before, the premise of this book is Ben and Johnny having to deal with the loss of half their family. Okay, you're doing something with that. Yeah, even if we went back and said, okay, someone did say right there that they knew they were in space, nobody ever touched that storyline. This, the idea that people think they're dead, we're turning that into a storyline. So cool, I'm fine with that. Let's go with that storyline. And the first thing that you guys might be thinking is, oh wow, so this is a story about Ben and Johnny having to deal with the death of Reed and Sue and all the kids. That sounds really depressing, but this can't be depressing. It's by Chip Zdarsky, one of the most well-known humorists in the comic book industry. I'm sure this book is a laugh riot. Holy cow! Chip came onto this book and went, oh, you guys think I only do jokes? Prepare to cry, suckers. Yeah, this book is deep. There is a moment at the beginning of this in which Ben Grimm is at a foundation that is giving out a grant in the name of the Fantastic Four, and he just gets up there to make a speech about how, hey, Reed, he was the brains, Sue, she was the heart, she was the one looking after each of us, Johnny, he was the explorer, I was just the guy who drove the bus. So if you're gonna go out there into the unknown and explore, make sure that you got those other three with you. And I was like, oh dear God, oh man, what are these feelings that I'm having? Oh God. And after that, Ben runs into Spider-Man, and Spider-Man hands him the keys to the warehouse where they've been keeping all the Fantastic Four's old stuff. Because if you have been reading Spider-Man, you know that Peter Parker Industries actually took over the Baxter building, so they had to clear out all the old Fantastic Four stuff. So you see Ben just go into this warehouse, and he's looking at all the old Fantastic Four stuff, and he just sees his chair. He just sees the chair he always used to sit in. And I thought that was such a great thing. Because you could have gone with anything. You could have gone with Reed's time machine. You could have gone with the portal to the negative zone. Seems kind of weird they'd be keeping those just in a random warehouse. But you could have gone with any of the big sci-fi things from any of their amazing adventures. But he just spies his chair. And that's what he starts getting emotional over. And he sits down in the chair. And honestly, I think that was brilliant. And it speaks to what the Fantastic Four is supposed to be. Because the Fantastic Four, yeah, it's explorers, it's adventurers, but it's also a family. And this was the chair that he sat in when he used to play with the kids. He sat in when he used to hang out with Johnny. He sat in when Reed and Sue were talking with each other and they were just watching TV with each other. This, to me, said family. That the thing that really touched the thing, didn't mean to make that pun, but the item there that really moved the thing was just his chair. It was the thing that to him said home. It was the thing that to him said family. Not these big billion-dollar gadgets, something that you could buy at IKEA for like 75 bucks. But when he's there in the warehouse, Dr. Doom shows up. And if you've been reading all the recent stuff with Dr. Doom, you know that Dr. Doom has been trying to be a nice guy. He's been trying to be a hero now. Which I found that to be an interesting twist on his character. But I did kind of have a problem that he just kind of went from straight up pure evil to I'm now going to try and be the nicest guy out there. And I'm not saying that like it was that black and white. Like we definitely saw over in the infamous Iron Man series him still doing some pretty, sinister stuff over there. But every time that I have seen him, he has still been trying to be like a pretty nice guy. Here, he says to Ben, listen, after Reed died, I snuck into the Baxter building to try and find anything there that could prove that he was still alive, and I found this I think it belongs to you. It's a message they want someone to give you. And Ben just loses his mind that you broke into our home after Reed died and you stole my inheritance, the thing that he left for me. And Doom just loses his mind. Like he is just there going, stole? So how can I steal when it all belongs to Doom to begin with? Everything belongs to Doom and... no, listen, Doom, I may have made a mistake by taking something that belonged to you. And like you could tell it was paining him to say these words. And I read that and I went, that's how I feel Dr. Doom should be a good guy. Because no way can a guy that arrogant and that full of himself and with that much of an inflated ego and just malicious tendencies just instantly go over to the other side. I like this idea that you could tell it physically pained him to try and help other people, but he was still trying to do it. This honestly is some of the best writing I've read on Dr. Doom in a while, ever since he started trying to be a good guy, but it still showed him trying to be a good guy. So Ben decides to listen to this recording that Reed left for him, and again, just heartbreaking stuff. This is Reed's final message to Ben, and it was so moving. It was basically him saying, listen, I came up with a dozen of these for every possible situation, and this is the one for in case me, Sue, and the kids are all dead. It's just you and Johnny, and my last request of you is take care of Johnny and don't stop exploring. The universe is too big to stop exploring it. I know that's what you love doing. I know that's what he loves doing. Come together. Let that be your thing that the two of you do together. It's like, man, Reed trying to keep the family together, even with the two of them dead. And I find that to be the most interesting thing about the fact that you have a Johnny Storm and a Ben Grimm book, which is that the Fantastic Four, it was always about family. But here's the thing. Johnny was Sue's brother. And Sue was married to Reed. And Reed was Ben's best friend. And Sue was the wife of Ben's best friend. But Johnny was the brother of the wife of Ben's best friend. You get what I'm trying to say there. Basically, you took out the two main parts in the middle that really connected them. So out of this entire family, you have the two guys who really, despite the fact that they really were friends, had the least actual connection. Like the thing that connected these two guys were other people in the middle. So I love seeing Reed come in here and basically going, listen, even if I'm gone, you guys, you have to stick together. I'm going to keep this family together even if I'm dead. And at this point you might be thinking, okay, that's really heart touching, but the Human Torch, oh man, the Human Torch, that guy, he's always good for a laugh. Oh, he's super jokey, and I've been reading how Chip Zdarsky writes him over in the Spectacular Spider-Man book. I'm sure he's gonna be great in this series too. When Spidey came to Ben and he told him, yeah, listen, here are the keys back to all your Fantastic Four stuff, but could you go and check on Johnny? Cause listen, he's really friendly when he's around me, but I catch him when he thinks I'm not looking, and he gets pretty dark. He really does need someone around. And when Ben goes and finds him, Johnny is just flying as high in the air as he can and then just dropping straight back down to earth over and over again. And Ben is like, are you trying to kill yourself? What is going on? Which, oh my god, they bring up the idea that the Human Torch might be trying to commit suicide in this book. Holy cow. Not something I was expecting when I went into this title. But Johnny tells him, listen, all I had was my family and my powers. And now my powers are going away. I can feel it. I can't stay in Human Torch mode as long as I used to be able to. I can feel it kind of getting, I can feel my powers withering away whenever I am using them. I can't get as high as I used to get. My powers are going away. I'm about to have nothing at all. And then Ben is just there in silence and he goes, I think Reed and Sue might still be alive. And he is basing that on nothing. Nothing in this issue, nothing that we've seen that they are aware of lets him know that they're alive. He just straight up lied to Johnny because it's the only way that he can think of to keep Johnny from trying to kill himself, from trying to go over that edge. And then you see a little spy camera was watching them the whole time, and it's Dr. Doom on the other end and goes, oh, Benjamin, telling a lie. Why would you do such a thing? And I was like, Oh my god, this is getting so deep, but at the same time, it feels kind of Fantastic Four-y. Because you've got Doctor Doom there, being Doctor Doom, you've got the family coming together, and as I said, it's a unique dynamic that it's this part of the family. Like, you see, hey man, Reed and Ben were best friends, and Ben loved Sue. They were like brother and sister, basically. They cared about each other so much. In fact, you even see a great moment in here in which you see Ben on that ship at the beginning of Secret Wars when they were trying to escape their dying planet, and Sue basically turned to him and said, listen, this might be the end. And if something happens to me, if something happens to Reed, promise me you will look after Johnny. And it was great because we all remember that moment from actual Secret Empires, but we never actually saw, not Secret Empires, from Secret Wars, but we never actually saw like what Sue and Ben were doing during this. We saw what Reed and Black Panther were doing, and we actually see Reed and Black Panther talking in the foreground, in the background. But in the foreground, you actually see Sue talking to Ben. It was great of how they're weaving this all together. This really is an amazing first issue right here. This issue paid tribute to the history of the Fantastic Four. It had Doctor Doom being Doctor Doom. It had a great new dynamic between Ben and Johnny, not so much as just buddies or guys who just joke with each other, but like survivors of losing half their family. And the reason why that's able to work is because it's got the right amount of heart. And the Fantastic Four should always have heart at its core. This book has that at its core. This is one of the most heartfelt books I have read all year. I absolutely recommend this, even if you're not a Fantastic Four fan. And don't think just because I described everything that happens in here, oh, well, I don't have any reason to read it. I can't do this book justice. I am not summing it up in a way that really does capture how well this book is executed. This book gets a huge recommendation from me. Now, the next book that I'm going to talk about is Tales of Suspense, issue number 100. Now, this is really the only kind of follow-up that we're even getting to Secret Empire, because pretty much every other book at Marvel said, let's just not talk about Secret Empire. Even Captain America, the book that you feel kind of needs to bring up Secret Empire, is like, we ain't even touching Secret Empire. Captain America, nobody even believes that was him a moment ago. This is something totally separate. Tales of Suspense is really the only book that actually is being a follow-up to Secret Empire, because it is actually dealing with Hawkeye and Winter Soldier having to go on the search for Black Widow. Now, the majority of this book is focusing on Clint. Clint is infiltrating a funeral for a Hydra agent because he has been watching all these Hydra agents die, and he's been watching how they've been dying, and he's like, that's Natasha. Natasha is totally behind this. Black Widow is still alive. She is hunting these Hydra agents down. So he infiltrates this funeral for a Hydra agent, and he tries to get information on where their next target could possibly be, on where Black Widow's next target could possibly be. And here's the thing. I know everybody out there absolutely loved the Hawkeye series by Matt Fraction. I loved it in the beginning. But then after that, I feel like they kind of made Hawkeye a little bit too stupid. I mean, in the beginning, yeah, his life was a garbage fire, but he was still fairly competent. He could still actually do his job. But then as the book went along, he kept getting dumber and dumber and dumber until it got to the point where he couldn't even keep up his own pants. And after it got to that point, I just looked at him like, dude, it's not that I can't believe you're the world's greatest archer. I can't believe that you function as an adult. There's no way the Avengers would let you on their team at this point. So I've always had a problem with how stupid that book made Clint. And I feel like there's a lot of writers out there who have been trying to continue to capture that tone for Hawkeye. And when this book starts off, yeah, Hawkeye is still kind of dumb, but he's not as bad as he was back in the Matt Fraction book. Because, yeah, you see that he doesn't know how to infiltrate a Hydra base. He doesn't know how to go in there and make people buy that he is actually some John Doe guy who's like, oh yeah, I'm just here to pay my respects. Oh, does anybody happen to know where he might be, might work before this? Any business associates he might have had? So yeah, he does have trouble there, but then Clint actually stops and goes, listen, I was never good at this spy stuff, okay? It just wasn't for me. I was like, you know what? That actually makes sense. Listen, I'm a big Hawkeye fan. But even I'll admit, yeah, it doesn't really make sense for him to be a spy. This guy was raised to be a carny. He was not raised to go on secret missions. He was raised to be a show-off. So yeah, I totally buy that he would not know how to go in there and be a spy. but he ends up screwing up and he ends up setting the entire funeral home on fire. And there actually is a great little exchange between him and the owner of the funeral home, but he's like, yeah, well, you probably should have rented your house out to Hydra agents there. I was like, yeah, well, he's kind of got a point on this one. But then from there, as I said, it starts off with him being a little bit incompetent, a little bit jokey. But from there, he ends up going to the place where he had found some clues pointing at where Natasha's next possible target could be. He arrives there, and from there, he does go into A-class badass mode. Like I said, I can buy Clint being a screw-up. I can buy him as somebody who doesn't know how to get his life together, but he is an Avenger. And he's a pretty darn good one and has been an Avenger for a long time. You have to show me that this guy actually knows how to do superhero stuff. You have to show me that this guy can be competent at his job. We see him being tracked down by two guys who are following him around some alleyways, and without even turning around to look at them, he is able to tell exactly like what kind of weapon they're carrying, how far away from him they're standing, what they've been talking about. And I was like, okay, all right, I can buy this guy as the world's greatest marksman. And then he's able to slip into a crowd, he loses them, he goes up to this big embassy where he knows that Natasha's next target is going to be, and he breaks the entire situation down. It's like, all right, something like this, it's typically used as a distraction so that somebody can sneak inside, but there needs to be another distraction. And then after he says that, there's an explosion off in the background, and while people are freaking out, he just stands there completely stone cold solid and goes, yep, that was it. So I was looking at this moment and I was like, okay, this is the Hawkeye that I love. Yes, he's jokey, he can be kind of goofy, he can be kind of arrogant, but he's really good at his job. He's competent. This sounds like a guy who has gone on missions like this a lot and he knows how to do them. So from there, he then sneaks into the embassy. He confronts the guy who he thinks Natasha is going to kill next, but then Bucky shows up and Bucky thinks that Clint is there to kill this guy because Clint used to work with Natasha, and Clint thinks that Bucky is there to kill this guy because Bucky used to work with Natasha. So the two of them fight a little bit, but then after that they realize, oh wait, shoot, we're actually on the same side. We're actually both looking for Natasha and we're trying to keep her from killing all these guys. And then Bucky finds some evidence that Natasha might actually be behind this, and from there it leads into a big cliffhanger ending, which I will not spoil for you because I already spoiled the ending of one of these Marvel books I'm talking about today. No point in doing it to both of them. But at the end of this, it was like, okay, I am really invested in this because you've got a great setup. Two guys don't really know each other that well, they've never really hung out that much, don't really trust each other, but they do have something in common and they are on the same mission, so now they're going to have to team up. And also, two total opposites. Like Clint, he is kind of jokey, he is kind of goofy, Bucky is all business. So now you've got these two guys having to go on a mission to find Natasha and keep her from killing all these Hydra agents and reveal to the world that she's still alive. Okay, I'm really invested. I really want to know where this is going to go. I don't know if this is actually going to be a miniseries or an ongoing series, but hey man, if you just want to make Tales of Suspense, the Hawkeye teams up with Winter Soldier book, I'm all for that. I would keep reading that book, especially because this is being written by Matthew Rosenberg. Matthew Rosenberg right now is one of the most underrated writers at Marvel right now. Marvel is giving him lots of work. He's going to be on that new Mutant series. He's going to be on a couple of other upcoming projects. He's doing the new Jean Grey Return series that's coming out at the end of this month. However, more people in the comic book community need to be talking about this guy. Marvel is doing their best to promote him. I want to do my best to promote him too, because this guy is quickly becoming one of the fastest rising stars in the comic book industry. I want to hear people talking about how much they enjoy his work. This is a guy who, honestly, I can't name something he's done that I didn't like. He hasn't done something yet that I really thought was a miss. Most of the stuff he's done have been huge successes. And he's shown that he can do a wide variety of stuff. Like, this is a spy book, and yet he's done a bunch of other humorous titles. He's doing an upcoming X-Men title. This is a guy who knows how to do several different topics, and he can do them well. So yeah, sorry for just gushing there for a little bit, but yeah, I really do dig this guy, and I can't wait to see what he does next. And I'm so glad that even though this is something that I haven't really read from him before, again, he nailed it. he did a great spy book. So yeah, those are the two recommendations I have for you guys today. Tales of Suspense number 100 and Marvel 2-in-1 number 1. If you happen to read either of these books, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of them. And as always, you can click that subscribe button because we do comic class every single week on this channel, and we do fun other stuff on the weekends that have to do with movie reviews, game reviews, all kinds of other geeky stuff. And as always, I've got one more and for you, sorry. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.